you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. We're so excited to present you another webinar, this time about how to travel the world on a budget. So I'm really excited about this one. Just to introduce our presenter this evening, Isabel Rizzo is a brand storyteller based in Chicago. She assists women from around the world in creating location-independent businesses using their passion and their skills so that they can leave the world a little better than when they found it. I just love that. She's also an accomplished jet setter, and she joins us tonight to share her wealth of knowledge on how to travel the world on a budget. I'm curious, Isabel, did you used to be a Lonely Planet host?
You know, it's funny because I heard there's rumors of Lonely Planet doing some magazine stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna get in on that. I need to get in on that.
Ooh.
They're fantastic. They're a fantastic brand, and their guides are really great, and they're doing some really cool stuff. I love Lonely
Oh my
Planet.
gosh, I love them too. In fact, when their show used to be on the Travel Channel, I watched it all the time. I just loved it. But yeah, they have been around for a long time and a super excellent guide. So, well, now we're just going to have to add you to the list of knowledgeable experts here.
I will bring all my knowledge and I will share all the things.
That's awesome. Well, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Isabel. Welcome again. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's always great to connect with new people. And if you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat box. Or I know APO knows about, like, if you raise your hand or anything like that, he'll let me know. My name's Isabel. Like APO said, he gives me such a fantastic intro. I'm a travel blogger, brand storyteller. I run my business from my laptop. As long as I have Wi-Fi, I am in business. I have been traveling since I was a baby. That's why I think maybe I don't have roots anywhere. I can root myself easily in different places. Both my parents are from Romania. I was born in Germany. From there, I was raised in the US. From there, there's like all these mixed, like if you're in Chicago is this like the international city. So I was growing up in like a Hispanic neighborhood, Puerto Rican neighborhood. There was like a Jewish part of town, and it's like everybody's speaking a different language, and I love that because I'm always learning something new from different cultures. And I knew growing up all I wanted to do was travel and help people. That's all I knew that I wanted to do. And so I found out about travel hacking and having more adventures and living a location-independent life through a couple bloggers while I was in high school. I read Chris Guillebeau's The Art of Nonconformity, where he traveled to every single country in the world. And I was thinking, well, if he can do that, why can't I? And I was, at the time in high school, I was getting my citizenship because you have to go through that whole process. I was born in Germany, but they didn't give me German citizenship because I wasn't staying there long enough. So technically I was a citizen of nowhere, which was kind of cool to say. And then like I got my citizenship and I was like, well, now I have to give up the mystique of being from nowhere, but everywhere. But I got my citizenship, and immediately after I'm getting my passport, I made a promise to myself that every year I'm going to be on a plane. And I have been on a plane every year since I got my citizenship. I've been to China. I started a non-governmental organization there with a really good friend of mine, with teaching English abroad and bringing education and cultural exchange from the West to the East. From there, I went to Romania. Most of my relatives are there, so I had to go visit. Been to New York. I have an upcoming blogger press trip to Colorado, and I have a Europe trip planned for the end of this year to get some more blogger press trip stuff going on. So travel is a huge part of my life. I absolutely love it. There are a couple different terms that come to mind, like being location independent, being a digital nomad. Those are kind of like the terms of what I do, or the lifestyle that I choose. And tonight I'm just going to share a couple different things that I've used that have helped me be a budget traveler and make international travel more affordable for me, more doable for me, and an actual possibility. So I'm not just like people thinking, oh, she's rich and she has all this free time to travel. Like, no, I actually set the intention out into the universe and make my life and my work around that so that that becomes my reality. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I went over the Pacific and the Atlantic for under $900 with round trip, other travel hacking tips to find cheap flights, why getting off the beaten path can save you money, and then how to get free or low cost accommodations abroad. So are there any questions before I dive in? So far, no questions. If you have questions, leave them in the chat. Sounds awesome. This is good. All right, so how I traveled over the Atlantic and Pacific for under $900. The whole thing with budget travel and traveling abroad is being very flexible. And this goes with layovers, with being open to maybe visiting another country for a day or two, which I think is a perk, and opening up yourself to that. So when I was looking for my my ticket to China, I would be going on a couple different websites. And the main ones that I use are Skyscanner, Momondo, and Cheapo Air. And I can type those in the chat box for you. But I have a couple blog posts on how to find cheap tickets, and I list those on there. And the other thing, because Google is very smart, you have to clear your cache, CACHE, so they know that you're not searching, because the prices go up then. It's sneaky. So you clear your cache, and then Google doesn't know that you're searching for things. And you could check it every other day or so. I found that Tuesdays and Wednesdays were the times that I found the cheapest tickets. And they typically had to be, like, they were in lunchtime. Like, I'd get a ticket in the afternoon around 12 or 1 Central Time, and then I got another one like at midnight, because I'm a weirdo and I look at plane tickets when in my spare time. So it was late at night and in the afternoons that I find my airfare. And for China, it was like 600 something round trip. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm buying it now, because I don't know when this deal will happen again. And I only looked after at what it actually entailed. So I'm like, I'm going to China. I don't care how I get there. It was Chicago, LA, like I think it was a 2-hour, 3-hour layover, which was fine. I was like, I'm in LA. Look, palm trees. This is cool. Then from LA to Shanghai to Kunming. And then I arrived there. We went back so I stayed there for a while, did the teaching thing, explored the country, lived there for a little while. Then when I left, coming back, Kunming, Shanghai, New Delhi, Munich, Chicago. With a layover in New Delhi, that was 24 hours. And I had so much fun that 24 hours in the airport. The only thing with Asia is you need to have a visa for everything. And the Taj Mahal was like right outside. And I'm like, oh, I should have gotten a visa and I could have seen the Taj Mahal in a day. But I learned, we made friends at the airport. So, we made friends at the airport, connections. We met a lot of people that were doing meditation retreats. So they were all in their like hippie garb, and we're like, look at these people. I'm sure there are some interesting stories with them. So we just struck up conversations with people. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the New Delhi airport. It was good. We made lots of friends. So being flexible when you're looking for your tickets is one of the most important parts. When you're doing a search on a search engine like Momondo, Skyscanner, or Cheapo Air, being flexible with your dates is also another good thing. It could mean a $200 difference from one day to the other. So if you have to leave on Friday, and I never recommend leaving on Friday because the weekend airfare is the most expensive, leaving on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday is probably the best. Maybe not even Thursday, Tuesday or Wednesday. The best thing you can do is leave early during the week. Because if you leave on a Friday, it could be $200 more. If you leave on Tuesday, it could be $200 less. And that's just a couple days difference. And that's, of course, if you cleared your cache and Google doesn't know what you're looking for. So that's that. That's how I found my ticket for the Atlantic, and that was before I was doing like any credit card travel hacking. Um, and you can like really get in deep with the credit card travel hacking. I'm still intimidated. I have friends and I know people that have like 20 different credit cards and they're doing the mileage runs and that, and they're like hardcore travel hackers. I tell people I'm like travel hacker light. I help just the basic beginner travel hacker get started. And if they want to like plunge into that, I have resources for them that I could refer them out to. But I'm like, if you're just a beginner at this and you want to keep things safe because credit cards and that, I recommended taking out, there's 2 credit cards that are really good. And it depends on your budget and your income and all that. But the American Express Blue Sky card and the Capital One Venture card, they're really good. The whole thing with credit cards, though, is you want to sign up when there's some special bonus offer. And that can get really technical, but sometimes if you spend $1,000 within 3 months, you can get 5,000 points. And those points can translate into a free domestic ticket to go from like Chicago to New York, or a one-way ticket to going to Europe or South America or Asia. So it's really like keeping in check and being aware of what credit card bonuses are out there. If you're interested in getting alerts for that, Chris Guillebeau's Travel Hacking Cartel does that. They send text reminders. They send email reminders for the hardcore travel hacker that wants to be on top of things.
Isabel, real quick. Oh yeah, I was just gonna
the
ask
question.
Philippa's question. So
yeah. So Philippa had a question. Can you talk more about clearing cache? Does Google give you more expensive flights if they can see that you've been searching? Yes, they will give you more expensive flights that they see that you're searching, because there's a need for that. And anytime there's a need for that, the price is going to go up. The search engine robots know how to do that magic. I'm not a web developer, so I can't explain it. But I know from noticing when I search for tickets, when I clear my cache, or you could just clear your history. You go to like the top if you're using Safari or Google Chrome, and you can go into your settings and there will be an option where you can clear your cache, clear your cookies. And that's the stuff that saves your passwords and that little information you'll leave behind on websites. So you can clear that before you start searching for flights. Yeah. Oh, no problem. You're welcome, Philippa. Very small tip, but it can save you a really good chunk of change when you're searching for things. So that's one option. The other thing, Momondo, Skyscanner, Cheapo Air. Credit cards. If you want to get in on that, there are lots of websites that go more in depth with that. I just have 2 travel credit cards that I used. It was the American Express Blue Sky and the Capital One Venture. And that's how I got my ticket. My ticket to Romania was like 800 something, rounded up to 900. When I bought it, though, I used my American Express Blue Sky. It was like $1,200 round trip. And I'm like, all right, but I already got all these points by spending money on groceries, spending money on business expenses, spending money on gas, all these things that I would regularly pay with cash. I used my card because they were regular expenses, and I paid it off right away. Because immediately, because you can get trapped into that too. We're like, oh, well, I have all this money now. I'm just going to spend it at points. Because there are people that do that too. But I'm like, I need to be responsible with my money. And I wanted to get points. So I had these points, and I purchased it with my American Express Blue Sky. And then they give you a rebate, or they give you money back based off the points. They subtract it from your total. So you, in exchange, technically I paid $800 for this ticket, or $900 for this ticket, using points from my American Express card. And that was just everyday purchases. And some people, you can get really in depth with this too, is there's a way that you can pay your taxes using a credit card, and then you transfer the money that way. There's another way where you can purchase a bunch of gift cards and then you get the money back. There's like some really hacky ways of doing this. Like if you want to like black hat hacker way of doing it. There are ways. I'm not that in depth though, but there are tons of resources where you can, if you have the time and the patience and the organizational skills to do that, kudos to you. I don't have enough. I'm not, Excel spreadsheets in me are like, meh. So that's how I found my tickets. My latest one to Colorado, I don't remember how much I paid for it. It's next to my desk. I have like a bunch of plane ticket stuff on my desk. Again, I was using miles, and I got another really good deal on that round trip. And I made that commitment to myself every year to be on a plane. And I've been on a plane ever since. So I think the most important thing before you even search for tickets and all that and spend all your time doing that, it's like setting the intention that this year you're going to be on a plane going somewhere. And once you set that intention, the universe is like, oh, she wants to be on a plane. Here's an opportunity. Like, oh my God, okay, I'm ready for this. So that's the first thing. Then you can start using these tips and things, and the universe will help you get to where you need to go. The next thing, why getting off the beaten path can save you money. There are a lot of travel hacking ways to get luxury accommodations and first class tickets and that, but I'm not at that level yet because I'm not that extreme in travel hacking. But getting off the beaten path through couch surfing, Airbnb, using meetup groups and your network to stay in different places around the world, that's basically how I traveled. I think I stayed in a hotel once, and that was for a conference, and they paid for the conference. So there's that. You could do that. You could speak at places, and then you can get the conference and they'll fly you out there. That's an option too. But mainly couch surfing, Airbnb, and my Facebook or my Twitter. I will ask people, I'm going to be in this country on this day. Are there any friends that are going to be out there at the same time? Or do you have any connections that are going to be out there that I have to meet, or really cool people to see? And usually I'll get a couple messages from people because I like to connect people as well on Facebook. I'll see them traveling here. I'm like, oh, there's this person in this city. You should connect with them because they're a digital nomad too, and that. So getting off the beaten path in that way opens up a lot of doors as well, instead of just signing up for a tour group, which tour groups are great because there are people that love the structure and they want to see the history of a place and all that. But if you're staying at a friend's house or you're couch surfing or doing Airbnb, your host they're a local, they'll say, well, there's this event going on here, or there's this opportunity here. They'll take you to some of the places that aren't in the Lonely Planet guides, or they're not advertised as much, or they're like a new venue or a new place that you might not have heard of, and they'll take you there. And it's in those places and those adventures with close friends that you have more of your stories for when you come back from your travels, to say, oh, there was this one time we went down this alleyway and we had like these weird noodles and they were delicious, but you wouldn't think so because it was the shack in the middle of Shanghai, stories like that were really cool. So that's that with getting off the beaten path and saving money. Looking at other travel bloggers and where they've written about places, because a lot of bloggers, travel bloggers especially, will go out and get paid to do reviews of places. And all of the travel bloggers I know, I'm sure that there might be ones that morally might be doing different things. They have to be honest in their reviews. They could, they won't be like hardcore critics, but they'll say, I think maybe this is more suited for this type of traveler or this type of traveler. So I've gotten a lot of information like for teaching English abroad from other bloggers. And then I reached out to them and I said, what was your experience with teaching English abroad in this country or working in this country? How do you get a visa here? How do you do this here? And it was reaching out to them, because a lot of the time bloggers, they put out this content and sometimes they don't hear anything, or they'll maybe get a like here or there on Facebook. But when somebody reaches out and they find that their content was valuable, they're like, oh, I'd love to talk to you. Let me share you my stories. Because travel bloggers are like full of stories. They're like, oh, you want to listen to my story? Oh, okay. Let me just share that with you and what I can do to help. And all the digital nomads I know are the same way. They're like, oh, you're going to Chiang Mai? Okay, you got to go to this restaurant. You got to talk to this person. You got to do this. Blah, blah. I'm like, okay, now I know who I have to talk to, the places I got to go. And it's it's networking and creating those connections. And before you know it, you have this international network of friends from around the world. Like right now, we're in all different parts of the world. But I'll say, oh, you're in this town. I'm going to be in this town flying in this time. We should maybe get some tea sometime and talk. And that could lead to another adventure. And being open to possibility while you're traveling, I think is more fun than having a strict itinerary of things. Like, yes, I have my upcoming blogger trip where 2 days, I know for sure I'm going to be in this one place because I reached out to them and I'm going to do a review for them. But otherwise, I'm open to possibility the days around. So you have a little bit of both structure and adventure. Yes, there is much more that brings us together than separates us. So much more. It's like we might not even speak we might speak a different language, but sometimes you don't even need, like, you have hands, you have other things you can show, like a book or something. Like in China, I forced myself to speak as much Chinese as I could. Horrible Chinese. I tried my best though, because I'm in their country. I'm like, I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna, I'm putting in the effort. And most of the time I was speaking with my hands, like, I need to go to the bathroom, and, like, poop, and you point to your butt, and I'm like, oh, okay, we got you, poop. And I'm like, yes. Or like hungry, you show you're eating food, and they're like, yes, hungry. Then you learn the word for that and that. So we learn to communicate either way. So don't let the fear of foreign language hold you back either. Being open to opportunity, you never know what might open up. So, and the final thing, how to get free accommodations abroad, or cheap accommodations abroad. This kind of goes in regards to what your business is, but also you can have it work. Kind of a stretch, but you can have it work. As travel bloggers, you have the opportunity to reach out to different places where you're staying and say, hey, I'm a travel blogger. I absolutely love the venue that you have. Like, I love your restaurant, your message, your brand. And say, I'm going to be in this area. I can do some social media shout outs for you. Or I can write a review or offer some photos. Or if you'd like, I can stop by and do a video for you because I love the pictures on your website. And in exchange for that, would I be able to have a travel press rate for staying the evening in exchange for that? And some bloggers too, they'll charge for different things in exchange for, they can get a press rate, or they can get a free night, a free accommodation. So my upcoming blogger press trip is staying at a castle in Colorado that has tea times. And everybody that knows me knows I love tea. And my consultations aren't just like, we're gonna have a phone consultation. Like, no, we're gonna make cups of tea, and you're gonna tell me about your business and how I can help you with your business. We're having a tea time. So when I found out that this Colorado castle, which I was like, there's a castle in Colorado? What? That first caught my eye. But then I'm like, you have tea times in the afternoon? We need to get in touch. And so I reached out to them. I said, this is what my website is. This is who my readers are. I would love to get in touch with you, work out a blogger press trip rate or a blogger press trip, what I can do in exchange for staying there. And they're like, oh my God, we'd be honored for you to come, blah, blah, blah. Super hospitable, super nice people. And I was like, I am excited for tea time with you guys. And I'm staying in a castle in Colorado. Like, I'm so excited for that. And it's creating those win-win situations when you're going out. You can totally be a selfish travel blogger and be like, well, I'm just gonna stay here because it's free, and maybe I'll do like a tweet about you. It's like, no. This place has good energy. They put effort into creating the space for you. You want to bring in more business for them. You want to bring in and share their story. Why is this place awesome and in alignment with your brand? How could this place, like maybe you're a speaker and you're like, I could stay in a castle and I'm a medieval folk dancer, storyteller person. Like that's my business. And it's like, well, there's a castle in Colorado and that is totally in alignment with my vision and my brand. And it's like, bam, connection. How can we help each other? And that's what you use your skills and your talents when you're traveling. And you say, hey, I can do this for you. Would this be a possibility? Are you interested in this? And that's how I get free accommodations or cheap accommodations abroad, because I just like helping people and connecting people and sharing people's stories. And I do that through social media and blog posts. So I send them a blog post. I let my readers know about it. I get them excited, like, oh, she's going on that adventure. And then later on, I have this connection with this castle. And I say, well, you know, it would be cool. I have all these blogger students. Wouldn't it be great if I brought all these blogger students to you in a castle? And that's like creating more business for them. I'm creating an experience for my students, and it kind of snowballs. It snowballs from there. Let's see here. Create travel blog and get lots of followers. Is there a way to do it without being a travel blogger? Free accommodation, like if your business was different? Yes. And this goes back with alignment with what your business is. So if you are, if you are an intuitive healer, for example, you're going to look for maybe Unitarian churches or centers for spirituality, and maybe some high vibration aware restaurants that are in the area, and say, hey, I'm going to be in the area at this time. I'm going to be hosting a workshop at this place. Here are my rates for hosting workshop. In exchange for this, I will also bring people after the workshop to dinner at your restaurant. And is it possible to get a press rate for this? Because we're going to do some social media shout outs for you. We want to do a little bit of like marketing for you before we come out there. So there's creative ways of going around to do that. Like the folk dancing storyteller, like that's the thing too. The fashion blogger. What else? A author of sci-fi books. You know, there's just depending on where your ideal clients or readers or people are hanging out. What are they interested in? Find those places while you're traveling and say, hey, I'm going to be in this area. Let's do a meetup. And from there, that might lead into a connection somewhere else. Like, let's see, if you're a sci-fi author, conferences, looking up conferences of where those are and say, hey, I have this book. This is my blog. This is my website. In exchange for social media shout outs, putting your brand sticker on my blog. So free advertising for you. I would love to, you know, have the opportunity to speak, or, you know, I'll be in the area, blah, blah, blah. I would love to be a press writer for your conference. That's another option. Like I was press writer for the Travel and Adventure Show in Chicago. And it's so interesting too, if you're just wearing a press badge, all these people come up to you and they're like, how can I connect with you? Like, how can you get my business out there? How can you know, because they see you with the press badge. And I was just like walking around because I'm like, oh my God, all these travel things and like, oh, so many opportunities to travel the world. And people are coming up to me. They're like, can you help me with promotions? And I'm like, please let me help you with promotions. I'm like, let's do some kind of partnership, something that I can, you know, help you with. So I think maybe the first thing is getting clear on who your ideal clients are. And I know, like, at the beginning when I first started this, they keep harping on ideal client. I'm like, how am I supposed to know who my ideal client is? Get really clear on who you would love working with. The universe is listening. Like, draw a picture of that person, or like what kind of conversations they would have. Like, get really, really in depth with that, and you'll be surprised what will come up for you. Like, I had two groups. I have millennial women that want to start traveling, and then I had women that were kind of established as entrepreneurs and needed a little bit more help in organizing and strategy. So I had those two groups. And who do I serve? those two groups. So yeah, getting clear on your ideal client, so that way you can get clear on what kind of places you could reach out to for travel accommodations, travel opportunities. And you never know, like a plane ride to some kind of retreat because they want you to be a speaker or a workshop facilitator or something like that. So that's how I've been doing, with travel accommodations abroad. Again, couch surfing, networking. And of course, there are ways with credit cards as well, to do, like, there's like a Hilton Rewards and some other ones where if you get enough points, you can have free nights at hotels. So that is always an option as well. And there are lots of bloggers that talk about that. I like couch surfing and meeting with people and doing the Airbnb thing though, just because I meet more people that way. Not that I have anything against hotels. Sometimes I like just a nice squishy bed and it's good. But I haven't done any of the travel hacking with the credit cards. I have plenty of friends that have though, and they're staying at, really nice hotels around the world. So there's lots of ways you can go about doing it. Any questions? We kind of covered a lot.
I actually, you triggered something, a memory of a former past life of mine.
Ooh.
Which I thought was kind of fun because I
Yeah.
used to work as a travel agent. Well, I worked for American Express, interestingly enough.
Oh my God.
In their travel department. And so one of the things that it's very common within the travel industry, whether it's a bed and breakfast or a hotel or airlines, they used to comp a lot of travel to the travel agents in exchange for the travel agents either building an exclusive relationship with that hotel or recommending business to them and so forth. So I really love the idea that you don't have to be a travel agent to be able to do that stuff. Just offer to, mutual publicity, something that's really beneficial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, when you said sci-fi, I'm like, well, I happen to be a fantasy writer, so
Bam.
exactly. I'm like, oh, that was perfect. Awesome examples, and I really love that idea of the rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
That's how I, like, with business and with marketing and everything, I tell my clients, like, if this doesn't feel good in your gut, that's fine. It's not the time right now. When I sign on with a client or I'm doing some kind of promotion for something, I'm like, I'm in it to win it, and I'm on your team because I love your mission and it feels in alignment with me. If it doesn't, like, I can't promote your, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some weird, like, accommodation or restaurant, like a restaurant that has, it takes advantage of animals and it's like just not organic and they don't support local, like, that doesn't align with me and I can't promote your restaurant. I'm sorry. Maybe I can refer you to somebody else,
No, that's great. Any other words of wisdom, ideas, tips before we open it up to everybody for questions?
I had I had a tea party with another travel blogger, and he's actually a podcaster, Jason Moore from the Zero to Travel podcast. Fantastic podcast, great guy. And we were talking about that this morning. It's like, have the intention, bring in the action, and have patience. And I thought that was fantastic. I'm like, you could set the intention to be a traveler and dream, but now we have to put in some action. So what is one action you can take today to get you closer to making travel real? And then having patience and knowing in the faith that it's going to happen because your intentions are aligned and you're putting the actions to get to where you want to go.
I love it. Love it. So here we have a comment from Sally. She travels as a family and they found that it's better to book tickets individually. Interesting. I agree. It can be scary because you are dealing with tickets that may not be there in a few minutes. But yeah, working as a team between a husband and wife team, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great,
If you're
Sally.
on the same page, that makes things even better.
That's way cool. So.
And 3 kids. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
very cool. And by the way, guys, at the bottom of your screen, if you happen to be on a laptop or desktop, you can hover at the bottom of the screen. There is a way to virtually raise your hand if you want to ask a question, or that way, we can, instead of everybody jumping in all at once, we can try to manage it. But yeah, feel free to raise your hand virtually, or if you want to unmute your camera, you can raise your hand virtual, on screen as well, and I will try, or just type in raising hand into the chat box also, and I can unmute you so you can ask your question.
Yes. Ooh, Bali in November, New Zealand for December for 5 of us. Oh, Philippa, I can't wait to see your photos.
Same.
Yes. I hear very good things about Bali and New Zealand. I had a friend that went to New Zealand, and I know a bunch of digital nomads, like everybody's going to Bali for yoga teacher training and starting up their startup. Bali.
Yeah, I like that. Sally mentioned that they can open up every device you have, clear your cache, C-A-C-H-E, for those who aren't in the chat room, and then go for it. I like it. That's awesome. Gosh, you have shared so much. Does anybody have any kinds of questions? Now, when you actually, I did have one question that popped up, which is when you talk about travel hacking, is that like a new term for finding that budget stuff? And
Okay. I'm so in this that I forget, like, oh, not everybody knows about it. But yeah, if you Google the word travel hacking, you will find so many articles on the beginner's guide to travel hacking, and it's just how can you find cheap tickets, how can you maximize using your credit cards, how can you kind of learn to be flexible with your travel so that you can save money, and the accommodations thing as well. How do you travel hack your way using credit cards for accommodations, or even co-working spaces around the world, because a lot of digital nomads are working from their laptops and they need Wi-Fi. You want to get a co-working space. And there's a website, I forgot the name of the website, but it's a whole international listing of co-working spaces. So when you travel, you have somewhere where you can work.
I like that. Yeah, especially for those of us who are the digital nomads and we can work from wherever. That's really an awesome thing.
Exactly. It's like we need our Wi-Fi.
For sure. Best place to visit, Romania?
Jenna. That's hard. It's like I was in Bucharest and I liked it. If you like the city vibe, definitely Bucharest. My family's from Deva, and that's in Transylvania on the western side, so there's more mountains and hills and castles, and there are no vampires, but we'll milk that in our marketing as much as we can. Dracula, little statues everywhere, and like mugs. So I definitely loved, I think the highlight while I was there was in Hunedoara, and it was a castle. And the cool thing in Romania is nothing has any glass panels behind it or like in front of it. So you're literally like touching history. And I'm like, this is ancient history and I'm touching it. Oh my God. And there's like, you walk in and actually Vlad Tepes, or Dracula, was in the dungeon, in prison there for a while. There used to be a moat around the castle, so you have to cross this drawbridge. And it's actually really well preserved, which I thought was really cool. And apparently, I think they filmed some kind of movie there with, I think maybe it was Nicolas Cage. I don't know. But I thought it was a fantastic experience. But if you want to see moats, if you want to see castles, if you want to see mountains, if you want to see sheep, go to Transylvania. It's like there's something there for everyone, and a lot of it is untouched land because it's Eastern Europe, and the West didn't get in all the way. So there are places there where farmers are doing things from medieval times. Like you can walk and learn from the farmers, like that are just, they're putting up the hay using the tools from medieval times. It's like history that's alive.
That's very cool.
Ooh, any tips for long stays? I'm planning to stay a month in each city in Europe next year. I was thinking of using Airbnb. Do you have a better option? Airbnb for sure. I don't know if you're blogging or you have an online business going, but maybe finding a couple destinations and companies, restaurants, places like that that are in alignment with your mission, and reaching out to them and say, hey, on these dates, I'm going to be in this town. I would love in exchange for blah, 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 blah. Oh, just a traveler? That's okay, Diana. Airbnb then, couch surfing. And actually, oh, I forgot to mention this. It's this new thing, and I was like, oh, my vision, it's coming to life. But they're starting in Amsterdam. It's called Roku, Roku. Oops, Roku. It's kind of like the tiny house movement, but it's the tiny spaces that are co-working, co-living, co-habitating, everything really tiny spaces that you can share with other travelers. And I'm not sure what the rates are, but it's a really fun opportunity to meet and mingle with other people if you don't want to go the hostel route, because hostels are fun. I think hostels are fun. But yeah, Airbnb, Roku for Europe, there in Amsterdam, couch surfing. Do you even spend the language? They provided me with homestay for less than 30 euros a night. That is also an option. If you speak English, you can totally do a homestay, and you can totally get in on that through Airbnb, or asking through your network of friends saying like, I'm planning to go to Europe. Anybody have any connections? Or anybody have any friends that are out there right now, or recommendations of places I should see? Start a conversation online with people. You'll be surprised the answers that people may give you, and what connections that could lead to when you're going out to Europe. Sally, when are you going to Europe? Because maybe I'll bump into you. Yes. Or was it Diana? Sorry.
I think it was Sally. So, any other questions, folks? Observations, ideas? So from Jenna, she's saying that workaway.info has a lot of host people that'll pay for your stay for a few weeks or months if you
Bam.
teach them English and help out with their kids or farms or etc. Ooh, I like that. That's an awesome option.
Fantastic. Oh, goabroad.com. That's another one too. Similar to workaway.info. I completely forgot about Workaway info. They're fantastic though. Awesome, Jenna. Yeah, goabroad.com. I've written a few articles for them. They partner with, if you want jobs abroad, internships abroad, things like WWOOFing. Oh, WWOOFing, a Worldwide Organization of Organic Farmers. If you want to learn about, living off the land and helping out a farmer in a different country, WWOOFing, WWOOFing.com. That's another option as well. If you're looking to teach English abroad, the Staple website, and it's kind of like an inside joke between all the English teachers around there, is Dave's ESL Cafe. And there you can find jobs that it's kind of like a Craigslist for international teaching jobs. And if you are interested in teaching English abroad, I did the program through ITTT TESOL, and they help you with job placement around the world. And even if you're not looking for a job, they could still recommend places to visit or people to connect with when you arrive in that country. So
how's that spelled? ITTT TESO?
Yeah, it should be that.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. And I have on my website too, I just wrote, and here's my website. I just wrote an article about, so you want to teach English abroad. Here are 6 things I wish I knew before I went abroad. How long can you stay abroad? It depends on the country that you go to. For China, I got a 6-month visa. I ended up staying for 3 months. And the thing with that is like sometimes there's like re-entry stuff, like you stay 3 months and then they want you to leave and then come back, but you can still stay another 3 months. In Europe, if you have an American passport, you can go through all the countries no problem. And I think in Australia, if you want to work abroad, you're going to need a work visa. And sometimes the tricky thing with that is you might need to find a host. And that's where you can find one through goabroad.com. They've kind of got a system down of if you're looking for work abroad, who do you get in contact with, what paperwork you need to do. Because if you have a work visa, then things are more open to you if you want to do some kind of work exchange. And I have a few friends that did that as well. Or they just took their skills on the road, like graphic design, film, babysitting, house sitting. There's a whole travel hacking group that just house sits around the world. How could I forget house sitting? They house sit and then they yacht sit. I'm like, this is a thing? And she's like, you have no idea. I talked to her. She's fantastic. She's currently, I don't know where in the world she is now, but she's technically homeless. She house sits and yacht sits. And there's a whole network of people that do that. If you Google just house sitting opportunities, you might stay in this house in Italy. You might stay in a little cabin in, Canada. Who knows? Because there's people, they have multiple properties and they don't want just, they want somebody to check in on the house, but then you have access to the house. You take care of the stuff. They have a pet that they want to be, watched. That's another option that you can have, house sitting.
Okay. Anything else? I love the idea of the yacht sitting, by the way. That's
Right? When I
everybody
found
seems to like
out,
that.
when I found out about that, I was like, this is a thing. Oh, shopping. Oh, shopping. It's always funny when I would go to airports, I always loved people watching to see what kind of fashion they wore. And I would always look at their shoes. You can tell a lot by a person's shoes. So it's funny. In every country I've been, I think I bought a pair of shoes. When I was in Asia, if I was shorter and more petite, like most Asian women, I would have gotten so many cute clothes. Like I have big Westerner feet, so I didn't fit in the cute shoes that they had. But there's so many like really cool different fashion trends around the world, and I couldn't help myself. I put that in my budget. So I'm like, oh, this is a shirt I got from there, and this is like some earrings I got from this other place. And they're souvenirs, and each piece of clothing has a story then, and I like to keep it that way. And then shopping for food to keep things on the budget side. Going to grocery stores abroad is so much fun because you can see all the different brands. Like you can see Minute Maid brand in like the stuff that we have, and then you go abroad and you're like, how come we don't have this Minute Maid brand in America? Or Oreos. There's like birthday cake Oreo flavors in China. I'm like, why don't we have this? Like, this is not fair. So, you go to the grocery store, you get some snacks, or you go to the open air markets, because most places around the world have those open air markets. Get what you need to eat then and go. Here in the US, I feel like we stock up once a week and get all these groceries. And, I don't have time to cook all the time. I go out and eat sometime and that. So while I was traveling, I'd go to the grocery store, get my food, and I'd be good. Ooh. Then, in Skyscanner, if I find if I search for flights with one way rather than return, they are cheaper. Like one way there and one way back rather than a return package. Yes, this is true. This is how I kind of got into that, going to Chicago, LA, Shanghai, New Delhi, Munich, all that. So I chose two different one-way tickets. But, being flexible, and I think being flexible, having more adventures, that's how you budget travel. But you have more stories to share when you get back.
That's very true. Let's see. Now, what are some of the favorite foods that you have discovered on your travels?
Oh, food. Man, there's so many. Like, okay. I've had green pea ice cream, like peas, like the little peas. You'd think it would be weird It was actually delicious. I've
Mm.
had stinky tofu, which is really stinky but tastes really good. I've had um, I love Asian food, so I love anything like from. I haven't been to South Korea yet, but I love kimchi and any like fermented foods. Oh, so good, so good. And then the German counterpart of sauerkraut, delicious. Um, in Romania it's hard to be vegetarian because everyone's like meat and potatoes and cabbage rolls and that. So I gave up being vegetarian while I was in Romania. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna win. And while you're traveling too, it's like I don't know if I'm ever gonna eat this again. I wanna, take advantage of the experience. In Romania there's these little kind of like little sausages, we call them mici, and you eat them with mustard and bread and beer, and they're delicious. And everything there like is straight from the farm. Like I had my great aunt. She makes bread in this oven in her backyard, and it's this old brick oven. Then she picked tomatoes from her backyard, and it's just like bread and tomatoes. You think, oh, okay, that's plain. This bread and these tomatoes together were glorious. They were so good, like just fresh. Um, there was what else did I have? I had I was offered silkworm. I wasn't brave enough to try it. I saw it on the plate and I'm like, very beautiful presentation, but I'm not brave enough to eat the silkworm. um, and then what other foods abroad? In New York, we stayed by Koreatown in Manhattan, and there was this place that had steamed buns for like $3, and every breakfast I would get a and steamed kimchi and vegetable bun. And it was like this huge, cute little steamed bun, and it was delicious. And then they have this thing that they really love French things, like Koreans love France, and I'm like, hey, that's fine, that's totally my jam. And there was this Parisian Korean bakery, and I would go in there and they would have the most delicious little pastries, and such cute little pastries too. And I don't know if you guys have tried bubble tea abroad. It started in Taiwan, but it's like it's like a smoothie, and it has tapioca pearls on the bottom. Delicious. I discovered taro, which I didn't know what that was. It's like a purple sweet potato almost. And all my friends joke. They're just like, oh, there's Bella with her taro. I'm like, oh, taro. Because it's so delicious. It kind of tastes like, what does it taste like? Kettle corn. It's a little bit sweet. It's very light. It tastes delicious. And I always get a taro bubble tea wherever I can. If I'm at an Asian grocery store, I'm like, there's taro, I'm down.
That's awesome. We have 5 more minutes, and there are 2 questions that came up. First of all,
Ooh.
best beaches,
Yes.
and how do you get on the Amazing Race?
You know what? With Amazing Race, you'd be surprised. I had 2 friends that were connected to somebody, like they're YouTubers, and they were doing like the Amazing Race. Like I think, what was the guy's name? His YouTube channel was Kev Jumba. Him and his dad did the Amazing Race. If you reach out to their marketing department and you share your story in a very interesting way, like why you would be an amazing candidate for the Amazing Race, you never know. I tell people all the time, I'm like, did you just ask if you could be on it? They're like, no, I never thought of that. I'm like, just ask. Just ask. See, because it's like, it doesn't even cross our mind that that's a possibility. And then a lot of people, because they're thinking that way, they don't take the step to ask. So then you have the advantage. Now you have what you want. Now ask for it.
Love that. And beaches.
Beaches. Beaches. I was in just abroad, like beaches. I was at 2 beaches. One, well, I'm going to be biased and say Lake Michigan in Chicago, fantastic. Foster Avenue Beach, very good. Volleyball, everybody, good food, all that. The one beach I was at was while I was in Kunming. There's this, it's beautiful. It's this lake and there's an island in the middle of it, and then there's a monastery on that island, and it's like cliffs. It's gorgeous. The only thing that was scary about it was there was all this seaweed that was like floating on the bottom, and it looked like this monster. So I didn't go all the way in because I'm a chicken. But otherwise, beautiful, beautiful beach while I was in Kunming. It was like I saw that monastery there. You have to like take a boat out there, and I was like, this is so beautiful. I feel so grateful that I have that opportunity and that I could experience that while being on this planet for a little bit. I'm like, oh, there's so many corners of the world I want to explore, and that I can see that. I'm very grateful.
Oh, that is so awesome. Ah, Isabel, thank you so much. Now, by the way, do you prefer to go by Isabel or Bella? I noticed that you mentioned both.
I'm cool either or. The only reason my friends call me Bella is like the story of I was upset with my mom because she put so many consonants and letters in my name that I couldn't spell it. So I'm like, why did you put so many letters in my name? So I called myself Bella, but it's kind of stuck. So that's where I got bellav.com. So that's where it is. But I'm fine with either or, Bella or Isabel.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much. It has been amazing. We've learned a lot. Heck, if anybody's planning to come out here to the first official PPC sponsored event, which is the PJF experience, you can use some of those tips to get out here. Of course, we'd like everybody to stay together at the same time. But yeah.
This is the thing, guys. Let's manifest it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's freaking awesome. Thanks so much. I mean, this has been amazing. And, you know, if
I
there's
want
any
everyone to take at least one action after this to make the travel real. So I don't want it to just be, I can give information, but I want everyone to be traveling and doing their thing. So that's why I do what I do.
That's awesome. That's so great. Thanks again. We'll be saving the chat so that some of the websites that were discussed and some of the other ideas that were brought up and discussed in the chat will be available to everybody. And of course, the recording will be made available to the folks and the visionaries, our fellow visionaries. So again, thanks so much. And thank you everybody who was able to attend.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.